A widowed vampire king hid to test his lover with his triplets, but the cleaning lady uncovered. The castle sat on a hill under the pale light of the moon. Its tall towers pierced the night sky, their spires shining faintly like silver. Shadows moved along the walls, soft and silent, as if the building itself were alive. Within the castle lived the vampire king, a man both feared and admired, whose power was whispered about in every village for miles. But tonight the castle was quiet, almost too quiet as if it held its breath. The king himself paced in his private chamber. He was tall and strong, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark, reflecting years of loss and loneliness. He had once loved deeply, but that love had been stolen by fate. His heart, though strong, had learned to hide its pain. Now he ruled a kingdom of shadows and silence, his only companions the triplets he had sworn to protect. They were small and lively, with bright eyes that could see through lies and innocence that made even the coldest walls feel warm. Tonight, he was not thinking of power or enemies. He was thinking of a new presence in his castle, a woman who had entered his life quietly but whose courage and kindness had caught his attention. She was unlike anyone he had ever met. Not frightened by the shadows, not fooled by appearances, she moved through the castle with curiosity and careful respect. But he did not trust his own heart. Love had been dangerous once, and he would not risk it again without certainty. The king had devised a plan. He would hide, he would watch, he would test her without her knowing. Only if she proved herself true in heart and in courage would he step from the shadows. And so he waited, silent as the night itself, observing her every move from places unseen. The woman, whom the castle staff called simply the new helper, moved lightly through the grand halls. Her tasks were simple: cleaning, organizing, making the castle feel alive. But the castle was not simple, and it had long shadows that carried secrets. She had already noticed odd things: a cold breeze that passed even when windows were closed, faint whispers that stopped when she turned, and a sense that she was never truly alone. Still, she did not falter. With steady hands, she polished the long, dark wooden floors and dusted the portraits of long-dead kings and queens. The portraits' eyes seemed to follow her, yet she met them calmly, as if greeting old friends. Sometimes, she caught movement in the corner of her eye. A shadow or perhaps a trick of the candlelight. She paused and listened. A soft sound echoed from the stairway, tiny, hurried footsteps. The triplets. They appeared like sparks of energy, their laughter quiet but mischievous. "We can't let her see us," one whispered, holding a finger to her lips. Another rolled her eyes but grinned. They loved to play hide-and-seek, though the rules were made by them alone. The woman laughed softly. "I know you're here," she said, kneeling to their level. "You don't have to hide. I'm not afraid of little ghosts." The triplets froze, blinking at her. She did not flinch, she did not scream. They whispered among themselves. Then the smallest one approached cautiously, holding out a tiny hand. You're not afraid?" the child asked. "No," she said gently, "and I don't want to hurt you either." The triplets exchanged looks. Then all three darted around her in a whirl of giggles and shadowy feet, disappearing behind tall curtains and under staircases. The woman smiled, shaking her head. "I suppose I'll have to be extra careful," she said, her voice soft but firm. From his hiding place above the stairway, the king watched. His heart tightened. He had expected fear, confusion, or even defiance from her, but not this calm courage, not this warmth. The triplets had been a test, and the first trial had passed. Yet he remained hidden, unsure if he could trust his own feelings. As the night grew deeper, the cleaning lady moved into the grand dining hall. The long table stretched endlessly, polished to a shine. Portraits and candlelight reflected on the surface, and the shadows of the chandeliers danced across the walls. She straightened silverware and wiped the crystal glasses, humming a quiet tune. There was a rhythm to her movements, a grace that made the castle seem less lonely, less haunted. But then something caught her eye. A shadow flitted across the far wall. She froze, hand on the silver tray. It moved again, and for a moment she thought it was one of the triplets playing another trick. But no small giggle followed, no light footstep, only silence. Curiosity pushed her forward. She took careful steps toward the wall, her heart beating steadily, though a chill ran through her veins. She reached the end of the hall and stopped. The air felt heavier here, almost alive. And then she saw it, just a glimpse, a pair of glowing eyes watching her from the darkness above. Her breath caught, not in fear but in wonder. She had seen legends, read stories of creatures that lived beyond the human world but never in person. Could it be a trick of the candlelight, or something more? The king held his breath. His plan had been simple: observe, test, remain unseen. But now, seeing her stand unafraid, he felt something stir within him. Something he had not felt in a long time: respect, fascination, and longing. Meanwhile, the triplets, hidden behind the pillars, whispered to each other. "She sees him," one said. "No, she doesn't, but she's not scared." The smallest one frowned. "Why isn't she scared? She should be." "Maybe she's different," said the middle child. "Maybe she can't help him." The king's mind was a storm of thoughts. Could this woman, human yet brave, kind yet clever, survive in his world of shadows? Could she love him, not as a creature of power, but as the man he had become? Before he could answer, the cleaning lady moved again. She noticed something strange in the corner of the hall, a faint trail of light dust, disturbed as if someone had walked without touching the floor. She knelt, inspecting it. Her fingers brushed the floor carefully. "Someone has been here," she murmured softly. A noise above, a soft, almost imperceptible step. The king retreated slightly, careful not to be seen, yet the woman's sharp eyes flicked upward. "I know you're there," she said, her voice calm, certain. "I don't want to frighten you. But I can see you. You can trust me." The king froze. No human had ever spoken like that to him. Most would have screamed, fainted, or run away. And here she was, inviting trust without knowing him, without understanding the danger. He felt a pang of something he thought he had buried forever. Love, perhaps, or hope. Perhaps that was too much too soon, but the stir of it was undeniable. Suddenly the castle bell tolled, echoing through the stone halls, a sound that was both warning and signal. He knew someone or something was approaching. He had no choice but to vanish into the shadows. The cleaning lady turned slightly, sensing the shift, but the figure was gone. Only silence remained. The triplets peeked from behind the curtains, their little hearts racing. "She knows," whispered the smallest. "She saw him." "Yes," said the eldest, "and she isn't afraid. She might be the one." The cleaning lady straightened and shook her head. "This castle holds more secrets than I thought," she said softly. "And I am only beginning to uncover them." The vampire king, hidden in the shadows above, looked down at her. His heart, so long locked away, beat faster than it had in years. He realized then that the test had already begun, and that the castle, the triplets, and even this mortal woman were about to change his life forever. As the moon climbed higher, casting silver light across the ancient stones, the castle seemed to breathe. Shadows moved. Silence deepened. And in the quiet, the first threads of trust and love began to weave themselves between the widowed king, his triplets, and the woman brave enough to see what others could not. And somewhere in the darkness, the cleaning lady's eyes caught another shadow moving, this one larger, more deliberate, a hint of a figure that did not belong to the living world. She shivered, not in fear but in anticipation. The night had only just begun. The castle remained silent in the early morning. Sunlight barely touched the cold stone floors, and the halls were empty except for soft whispers of the wind through tall windows. The triplets were still asleep in their rooms, curled under blankets that glimmered like silver in the pale light. Yet the castle was far from peaceful. The cleaning lady had sensed the strange shadow the night before. She had spent hours walking the halls, thinking, observing. Something was not as it seemed. She had seen the glowing eyes, felt the unseen presence, and heard the soft steps in the dark. A creature of power moved within the castle, yet one who had chosen not to reveal itself, and she was determined to discover the truth. The new day brought tasks: dusting, sweeping, polishing. The routine of her work gave her courage. Yet every corner held a secret. The triplets' laughter echoed from hidden rooms as they played quietly unseen, while the woman moved through the halls. Suddenly, a soft voice called from above. "Down here." The cleaning lady paused. She looked up toward the balcony, expecting to see one of the triplets or perhaps a servant, but no one was visible. "Who is it?" she asked carefully, holding her broom as if for protection, though she felt no fear. A shadow flickered across the balcony. A small hand waved, a child's hand, the triplets, of course. They had decided to make her part of their morning game. The woman smiled. "All right," she said softly. "I'll play, but you must promise not to trick me too badly." The children giggled, and one of them, taller than the rest, descended the stairs silently, landing beside her with a grin. "We are not tricking you," he said. "We are testing you. To see if you are brave." "Brave enough?" she asked, kneeling to meet their gaze. "Yes," the smallest whispered. "Brave enough to know the truth." The cleaning lady frowned. "The truth?" "Yes," said the middle child. "About him, about the one who watches." The words made her pause. Her curiosity was piqued. She had felt it, known it, a presence beyond the normal, a watcher in the shadows. She had not yet seen him fully, yet she could sense him in every room, every corridor. "Who is he?" she asked. The children exchanged glances, silent communication passing between them. "You will see," said the eldest finally. "But first you must prove yourself kind. You must care for us. You must understand what family means here." The cleaning lady's heart softened. She had never been around children like these. They were unusual, yes, but intelligent and thoughtful. She had worked in many houses, seen many families, but never had she encountered such honesty and depth in so young a soul. "I will," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "I will try my best." The triplets clapped their hands and scattered, darting behind curtains and staircases once again. Their laughter echoed down the halls, light and melodic, yet carrying a warning. Something unseen lurked. From his hidden perch in the upper balcony, the vampire king observed. The test he had set was unfolding perfectly. The cleaning lady showed kindness to his children, patience in their mischief, and curiosity that bordered on bravery. Each of these qualities was rare and precious in his world. She had not yet seen him directly, but through the children she was learning to understand the kingdom, and the heart of the man who ruled it. And yet, as always, the king's mind was troubled. He wanted to step forward to show her that he was real, that the shadows held no threat. But the stakes were too high. He could not allow her to fear him or misjudge his intentions. She must come to trust him naturally. The heart could not be forced. The morning passed, and the cleaning lady worked diligently, moving from room to room. The castle seemed almost alive now, aware of her presence. Doors opened slightly when she approached, though no hand had touched them. Candles flickered with a gentle breeze, though all windows were closed. It was a place of magic, of old secrets, and she could feel it in her bones. At mid-morning, she entered the great library. Shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, filled with dusty tomes that had not been touched in decades. She began to organize the books, brushing away the layers of neglect. As she did, she noticed something unusual, a faint glow from one of the high shelves. Curious, she climbed carefully, reaching for the book. The moment her fingers touched it, a soft rustle sounded behind her. She froze, her heart beating faster. She turned slowly, expecting the triplets or perhaps another servant, but the room was empty. Then a voice, low, deep, and melodic, spoke from the shadows. "You are brave." The cleaning lady spun around, eyes wide. There was no one in sight, yet the words lingered in the air. Her heart raced, but she did not run. Instead, she whispered, "Who's there?" The voice came again, closer this time. "I am watching, I am testing, I am curious." Her hands trembled slightly. This was no ordinary presence. The stories she had heard, the legends she had read, all spoke of creatures that were both beautiful and terrifying. And now she felt one standing in the shadows of the library, unseen yet near. I mean no harm," she said quietly. "You do not," the voice replied. "And yet most would fear me, most would flee, but you," her heart skipped. "I am not most." A pause. Then a soft sound, movement from the balcony above. The king's cloak brushed the edge of the railing, almost a whisper against the floor. He did not step forward. He was still testing, still watching. And she, with her courage, patience, and kindness, was passing. Hours passed. The cleaning lady moved to the dining hall, and there the triplets awaited her once more. This time they brought a challenge. "You must feed them," said the eldest, "but not in the way you think." She looked at them, puzzled. "Feed them with what?" "Food of trust," said the middle child. "Of attention, of heart." The cleaning lady smiled gently. She understood. She spent the next hour engaging with them, listening to their stories, answering their questions, and showing care and patience. She did not treat them as children to be disciplined, but as equals in curiosity and spirit. She laughed at their jokes, responded to their riddles, and shared small secrets of her own past, her family, her life before the castle. The triplets beamed. The test was almost complete. But the castle had another watcher. From the shadows, the king observed the scene with a mixture of admiration and longing. Her presence warmed the cold stone halls, her laughter filled empty spaces, and her courage bridged the gap between mortal and immortal worlds. He knew now that the choice would soon come, to remain hidden or to step into the light and reveal himself fully. At dusk, the cleaning lady moved through the corridors, finishing her work. She paused at the grand staircase, feeling the familiar brush of a shadow near her. The king, still unseen, followed silently, careful not to frighten her. But she sensed him now, not as a threat, but as something curious and powerful. Her intuition, sharpened by months of hard work in the castle, told her that she was no longer just cleaning the rooms. She was part of a story, a test, and a kingdom much larger than herself. A soft sound of laughter drifted down from the balcony above. The triplets peeked over, their eyes twinkling with mischief. "Do you feel it?" the smallest asked her. "The one who watches." "Yes," she whispered, "I do." And then the final moment of the day came. The cleaning lady turned a corner and caught a glimpse of movement, a tall figure, pale and regal, standing just beyond the edge of the candlelight. She froze, unsure if she should speak, step back, or run. The figure did not move, only watched. His eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light, held a mixture of curiosity, caution, and something else she could not name. "You have done well today," the voice said again, this time from the figure himself. "You have shown patience, kindness, courage, and understanding." The cleaning lady swallowed, her heart pounding, yet she did not falter. "Who are you?" she asked softly. The figure stepped slightly into the light, revealing a tall, elegant form draped in dark clothing. His face was sharp, pale, and hauntingly beautiful. His eyes held centuries of wisdom, sorrow, and power. "I am the one who watches," he said quietly, "and soon you will see me fully." For the first time, the cleaning lady felt awe, not fear. She realized that the castle, the shadows, the triplets, and the mysterious figure were all pieces of something far greater than she had ever imagined. The triplets peeked from behind a curtain, whispering among themselves. "She is ready," said the eldest. "She sees him. She is not afraid. She might be the one." The vampire king, hidden no longer, felt a strange warmth in his chest, a feeling he had thought lost forever. Hope, fragile but real, began to grow. The night had tested them all, but tomorrow would bring new challenges, new games, and perhaps new truths. And as the candles flickered and shadows danced along the walls, the castle itself seemed to breathe, waiting for the story to unfold further. The castle was quiet that evening, but the air carried a different energy. The wind whispered through the tall towers and rattled the stained glass windows. Shadows stretched long across the stone floors, and every flicker of candlelight seemed to hide a story. The triplets had finished their lessons and were playing quietly in the corner of the grand hall, their eyes bright with mischief and intelligence. Yet something lingered in the air, an invisible tension, a secret waiting to be revealed. The cleaning lady moved through the halls, her footsteps soft and deliberate. She had begun to sense the castle in a way she never expected. The walls seemed alive, aware of her presence, shifting subtly when she passed. Candles flickered as if breathing, and shadows danced in patterns she could almost understand. She had come to accept that this castle was not ordinary, and that the unseen presence she felt was not meant to harm her. Her mind wandered to the glowing eyes she had glimpsed days ago, the soft voice that had spoken from the shadows, and the mysterious figure who had watched her without revealing himself. She did not know what to make of him, but a strange sense of trust had begun to grow. She felt that he was not cruel, only cautious, protective even. Yet the curiosity in her heart demanded the truth. Meanwhile, the triplets whispered among themselves in a hidden alcove. "She will see him today," said the eldest. The middle one nodded. "Yes, she is ready." "But will she understand?" The smallest looked uncertain. "I hope so. I hope she does not run away." "Do not worry," the eldest said, smiling faintly. "She is brave enough and she cares enough. The rest is up to him." The vampire king, hidden in the shadows above, listened. The triplets were wise beyond their years. They had always known more than he had realized. Their guidance had been subtle, but now he understood. The cleaning lady had passed the first trials. The question that remained was whether he could allow himself to reveal the truth, to step out from his hiding place and show her who he really was. That evening, he decided it was time. He appeared quietly in the grand hall, where the cleaning lady was arranging books on a tall shelf. She had sensed movement and turned, but before she could react, he stepped forward into the candlelight. For the first time she saw him fully, tall, elegant, and powerful, with pale skin that seemed to glow faintly in the light. His eyes, deep and captivating, held centuries of wisdom, sorrow, and longing. "I did not intend to frighten you," he said softly. His voice was smooth, like silk brushing against stone, carrying both authority and gentleness. The cleaning lady froze, her heart pounding but not in fear. She studied him carefully, noticing the faint traces of sadness around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, and the quiet power that radiated from him. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady despite the wonder in her heart. "I am the one who watches," he said. "I am the king of this castle, of this kingdom. I am your test." Her eyes widened slightly, but she did not step back. Instead, she studied him more closely. "A test?" "Yes," he said, lowering his gaze to the floor for a moment before meeting her eyes again. "I have lived for centuries. I have lost much. I cannot risk my heart or the hearts of those I care for, so I hid to see if you were true." The cleaning lady's breath caught. She had suspected something extraordinary, but this was beyond her imagination. A vampire king, widowed, cautious, and powerful, had been watching her all along, and yet she felt no fear, only a deep curiosity and a strange warmth. I did not know," she said softly, "but I did what I thought was right. I cared for the children and I treated this castle with respect. I tried to understand." The king's eyes softened. "And that is why you are here now," he said. "You see the truth in ways others cannot. You have courage, kindness, and heart. You are different." The triplets, who had been hiding behind a curtain, peeked out. Their eyes shone with quiet approval. "She sees him," the eldest whispered. "She is not afraid, she is ready." The middle child nodded. She might help him heal." The smallest smiled faintly. "She will make him smile again." The king noticed them then, realizing that they had guided her subtly all along. He stepped closer to the cleaning lady, careful not to frighten her. "They are wise," he said softly, "more than anyone realizes. And you have passed their test as well." The cleaning lady's heart lifted. She realized that this castle, these children, and this man were part of something larger than she had ever imagined. Her life had changed the moment she stepped through the gates. I think I understand," she said quietly. "But there is so much I do not know. Who are you really and what happened here?" The king hesitated. The weight of centuries pressed on him, but he knew he could not hide any longer. "I was once married," he said slowly, his voice trembling with memory. "I loved deeply, and I lost everything. My mate, my trust, my peace. Since then I have lived in shadow, protecting my children, my kingdom, and myself." The cleaning lady listened, her eyes soft. She did not judge him, did not flinch at the sadness in his voice. Instead, she felt a deep compassion, a connection that she could not explain. "You do not have to carry it alone," she said gently. "You do not have to hide your pain. The triplets and I, we can help." For the first time in centuries, the Vampire King felt a stirring of hope. The walls he had built around his heart were beginning to crumble, and yet he knew that trust was fragile. He had tested her, watched her, and now the choice was his. Would he step fully into the light or retreat into shadows once more? Before he could speak, the castle shifted. A sudden chill passed through the halls, and the candles flickered violently. The triplets clung to each other, their eyes wide with fear. "Something is coming," the eldest whispered. The king's senses sharpened immediately. He moved to stand in front of the cleaning lady and the children, his posture protective. "Stay behind me," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Do not be afraid, I will not let anything harm you." From the shadows, a faint figure emerged, one of the rival houses, a vampire of cunning and ambition, drawn by the whispers of the castle's secrets. The intruder paused, sensing the presence of power, and then stepped forward, confident yet cautious. "You hide well," the intruder said, voice smooth and dangerous. "But I have followed the trail. I know who you are, king, and I know what you seek." The king's eyes narrowed. He did not speak, but the air around him grew colder, darker. His presence alone was enough to make the intruder hesitate. He had ruled these halls for centuries, and his power was not to be underestimated. The cleaning lady stepped forward slightly, though she stayed close to the triplets. "Who is he?" she whispered. "A rival," the king said softly. "One who seeks control, but he will not succeed." The intruder's gaze shifted, sensing the cleaning lady. "And who is this?" he asked, suspicion in his tone. "The one who dares to enter the castle of the king." "She is." The king paused, realizing that words were unnecessary. He did not need to explain her fully. She had proven herself. She was not a threat, and yet she was part of this story now. "She is brave," he said finally, "and she will not be harmed." The intruder laughed softly, a sound that echoed through the hall. "Bravery is not enough here," he said. "In this castle, power decides everything." The king stepped forward fully now, revealing his presence entirely. His eyes glowed faintly, and the air seemed to hum with energy. "Power without heart is nothing," he said quietly. "You underestimate what loyalty, courage, and love can achieve." The cleaning lady felt a thrill of awe. She had sensed power before, but this was beyond comprehension. Yet she also felt something else. Trust. A growing bond with this mysterious king, a connection that went deeper than fear or fascination. The intruder, realizing that the castle's true strength lay not just in its walls but in the hearts within, hesitated. The triplets stepped forward, their small hands raised as if to challenge the intruder, unafraid. "Leave," said the eldest, his voice clear. "This castle protects those who belong here." The intruder's eyes narrowed, and with a flicker of movement he vanished into the shadows. The castle fell silent once more. The cleaning lady looked at the king, awe and wonder in her eyes. You were testing me," she said softly. "Yes," the king said, his voice quiet but steady. "But you have passed. You are brave, kind, and wise. You understand the heart of this castle and the heart of those who dwell within it, even mine." The triplets cheered softly, their eyes bright. They ran to her, surrounding her with warmth and trust. "We knew," said the middle child. "We knew you would see him." the smallest smiled. And you are ready to help him heal. The king felt something shift inside him. For the first time in centuries, he did not feel alone. He had tested her, observed her, and watched her courage. And now, he realized that she had passed not just his test, but the unspoken test of the triplets and the castle itself. The night descended fully over the castle, but now it felt different. No longer a place of shadows and fear, it was a place of potential, of trust, and of beginnings. The cleaning lady had uncovered more than secrets. She had uncovered hearts capable of love, loyalty, and courage. And the vampire king, for the first time in his long life, allowed himself to hope. The castle was quiet under the silver glow of the full moon. Shadows stretched long across the halls, but they no longer felt threatening. The triplets played softly in the corner of the grand hall, their laughter light and bright, like wind through chimes. The cleaning lady moved through the corridors, her steps careful yet confident. She had learned the rhythm of the castle, the silent language of its walls, and the unseen presence that watched over all. The vampire king stood in the great hall, fully revealed now, his tall figure bathed in moonlight. The glow of his eyes was soft, no longer cold, and for the first time in centuries he felt lighter. He had tested her, hidden from her, and watched her courage and kindness. Now he knew she had passed not only his trials but the unspoken test of the triplets and the castle itself. "Are you certain you are ready?" he asked softly. His voice, deep and melodic, carried both strength and a hint of vulnerability. The cleaning lady met his gaze without fear. "I am," she said firmly. "I understand now. I know what this castle needs, and I want to help." The king felt a warmth he had long forgotten. Hope, fragile yet real, blossomed in his chest. He had feared loneliness, feared love, and feared loss. But now, standing before her, he realized that true courage was not in hiding or in power. It was in trust, in choosing to allow another into your heart despite the risk. The triplets approached, their small hands clutching each other's. "She is ready," said the eldest, his voice clear and confident. "She understands, she cares." "Yes," said the middle child. "She can help him heal." The smallest smiled shyly, "and she makes him smile again." The king's lips curved into the faintest smile. It was a rare expression, one that had not been seen in centuries. He stepped forward fully, closing the distance between them. "You are more than I expected," he said softly, "more than I dared hope for. And yet you are exactly what I need." The cleaning lady felt her heart race. She had feared the unknown, the shadows, the mysteries of this ancient castle. Yet standing before him, she felt a strange sense of peace. She understood that he was not just a ruler, not just a vampire of immense power. He was a man who had loved, lost, and endured. And now perhaps he could love again. Before they could speak further, a sudden sound shattered the quiet. The castle doors rattled and shadows moved along the walls. The intruder, the rival vampire who had challenged the king before, had returned. But this time he was not alone. Figures emerged from the darkness, creatures with intent to seize control, to claim the power of the kingdom for themselves. The triplets gasped, huddling close to the cleaning lady. "What do we do?" whispered the smallest. The king's gaze hardened. "We protect the castle," he said, "and those within it." He stepped forward, his presence commanding the room. Shadows seemed to gather around him, forming a protective aura. The intruders paused, sensing the strength of the king and the bond he had formed with the castle, the triplets, and the cleaning lady. Yet they did not retreat. They advanced cautiously, testing, waiting for a moment of weakness. The cleaning lady moved closer to the triplets, her hands steady and reassuring. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "We are not afraid." Her courage, calm and unwavering, strengthened the king's resolve. He realized that trust was not only his to give, it was shared. They would face this threat together. The intruders struck suddenly, shadows and movement blending into one. The king's speed and power were unmatched. He moved like liquid, his movements precise, his control perfect. Yet he did not strike to harm unnecessarily. His intent was clear: protect, not destroy. The cleaning lady watched in awe. She had feared nothing, and yet she realized the danger now. But her fear did not overpower her. She called out to the triplets, guiding them to safety, keeping them close. She understood that true courage was not recklessness. It was knowing the risk and acting despite it. The intruders realized their attack was failing. The castle itself seemed to rise in defense. Candles flickered, shadows shifted, and the very air hummed with power. The king's aura extended beyond his form, encompassing the castle and those within it. The intruders hesitated, and in that moment the triplets stepped forward bravely. "Leave now," cried the eldest, his voice echoing like steel. "This is our home. You will not take it." The middle child followed, pointing to the intruders with small, determined hands. "We are not afraid," the smallest added, "and neither is she." The cleaning lady stood with them, her hands raised in a gesture of unity and trust. "We protect this place together," she said clearly. The intruders recoiled, realizing that the castle's true strength lay not only in the king, but in the bond he had formed with those who dwelled within. They hesitated, then vanished into the night, retreating into shadows from which they had come. Silence returned to the castle. The triplets cheered softly, embracing each other and the cleaning lady. The king lowered himself to their level, smiling at them. "You have been wise," he said. "Your courage has saved the castle tonight." The cleaning lady looked up at him, eyes shining. "It was not just courage," she said. "It was trust and love for each other and for this home." The king's gaze softened. He stepped closer to her, his presence gentle now, no longer hidden. "You have shown me that trust can be given, that love can grow even in shadows," he said. "And I wish to embrace it, with you and with the triplets." For the first time in centuries, he allowed himself to reach out. The cleaning lady took his hand, steady and firm, her eyes meeting his with understanding. In that simple touch, a bond was formed, a promise of trust, courage, and love. The triplets danced around them, laughter ringing through the halls like bells. "We knew it," the eldest said. "We knew you two would find each other." "Yes," said the middle child. "Now the castle feels alive," the smallest added softly, "and safe." The vampire king looked down at the triplets, then at the cleaning lady. "This castle, these halls, and our hearts are no longer bound by fear," he said. "The shadows remain, yes, but now they serve as guardians, not threats, and together we can face whatever comes." The cleaning lady smiled. "Then let us face it together," she said, her voice calm and filled with certainty. The castle seemed to breathe in response, the walls echoing their unity. Shadows shifted gently, no longer menacing but protective. Candlelight danced across the stone floors, reflecting on the silver polish of tables and the warmth of the hearth. For the first time in centuries, the castle was alive, not with fear, but with trust, courage, and the beginnings of love. The triplets nestled close to the cleaning lady, their small hands clasped together. "Will he stay?" asked the smallest, looking up at the king. "Yes," he said softly, kneeling beside them. "I will stay. And I will protect this home, these children, and the one who has proven herself worthy of trust and heart." The cleaning lady felt a deep warmth in her chest. She had come to this castle as a simple helper, unaware of the magic, the shadows, and the secrets it held. Yet now she stood at the heart of it all, trusted and accepted. She had proven herself, and in doing so, had touched a heart that had been closed for centuries. The night deepened, and the castle lay under the silver glow of the moon. The triplets slept peacefully, the shadows of the halls gentle and protective, and the cleaning lady stood beside the king, feeling the quiet strength of the castle's heart. "I never thought I could feel this way," the king said quietly, his voice soft. "I feared love, feared loss, feared weakness, but you have shown me that courage and kindness are stronger than fear, that love is not weakness, it is power." The cleaning lady smiled softly. "And you have shown me that even in shadows, hearts can find light." Even in silence, love can speak. The king took her hand in his once more. "Then let us walk this path together," he said. "Through shadows, through trials, through life itself. Together we are stronger. Together we are whole." The triplets stirred, waking slightly, sensing the warmth of unity in the room. They climbed into the king's arms and the cleaning lady's embrace, laughter soft and gentle. The castle, silent and watchful for centuries, seemed to sigh in contentment. The shadows no longer threatened, the halls no longer felt empty, and the moonlight bathed the stone walls with quiet approval. For the first time in centuries, the vampire king smiled fully. Hope, trust, and love had returned to his life. The castle was no longer a place of fear or sorrow, it was a home, a place of hearts united. And as the triplets nestled close and the cleaning lady stood beside him, the king realized that he was not alone. He had family, he had trust, he had love. And together they could face whatever darkness lay ahead. The night passed peacefully, the first of many where the castle and its inhabitants felt safe, cherished, and bound together by courage, heart, and the quiet, powerful light of trust. The story of the widowed vampire king, his triplets, and the brave cleaning lady had reached a turning point. Shadows remained, but they were no longer frightening. They were guardians of a home built on love, patience, and understanding. The heart of the castle beat strong, and for the first time in centuries, the vampire king believed in tomorrow.